Okay, welcome brothers and sisters and YouTube visitors to another edition of Around the World News. We haven't done an update on the financial situation and political current events for quite a while, so let's get into that. And let's see, let me just recap some information for you. Gold and silver, platinum, the precious metals are back down in consolidations after the November 7th price slumps. That's today. Dow Jones Industrial Average and S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 made unimpressive new contract highs today, with bearish divergences on the stochastic indicators in all four of the indexes. The Russell 2000 remains the weakest, correcting downward on 11.7. This further suggests a downside correction could soon occur in the stock market indexes. So those of you who have 401ks at work, in the stock market and so on, you better think about getting your money out. It's at risk right now. The strongest member of the commodity complex is energy. Unleaded gas, crude oil, heating oil paused to catch their bullish breath on November 7th. Holding up on the news of comprehensive turmoil in Saudi Arabia. Natural gas has rallied impressively today, and Ari McMaster says natural gas has bottomed. So, if you want to make money in natural gas, I guess you should be going long now, or wait for a slight pullback. The CRB Index, which is the Commodity Research Bureau Index that measures a basket of commodities, is technically bullish, overbought, making another new recent impressive high on November 6th, pausing. Well clear of 185 support, rallying on the back of strong energy. Turning points are clustering in the first 10 days of November. All right. December gold needs a strong close above $1,310 to turn bullish. December silver needs a strong close above $17.50 to turn bullish. All right. And let's scroll down and read some other information that might be of interest to you. Crude oil is holding near two-year highs. 1 out of 9 barrels of oil produced in the world is produced by Saudi Arabia. Shale oil companies are not making money. The number of wells in the United States is dropping. This Thursday is the USDA crop report for protein gold. That's like soybeans and corn and so on. Currency market is 5.1 trillion daily. The United States is running a trade deficit with 9 of its top 10 trading partners. All right. New Zealand's new prime minister is a true blue feminist socialist collectivist. No foreign ownership, sales of homes, pushing for the elite corporate globalist TPP, pushing for equal pay for women. Wants a renewable-only power grid by 2035. No carbon. Hillary would be proud of her Ardem, New Zealand nanny state supreme, as long the isolated nation petri dish for experimenting with elite/globalist, collectivist, socialist, communist programs and ideas. New Zealand was the first nation to give women the vote, a long-term collectivist guarantee. Men are an emasculated wreck there in New Zealand, with high rates of suicide, men not being allowed to fight, and no firearms allowed for self and family defense. Families are a wreck in New Zealand, with the highest rate of divorce and promiscuity in English-speaking Western civilization, with 90% plus of family court decisions favoring women. Single mothers live on the dole. Lesbianism is rampant. Booing polarity, supporting John Gray. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Off the stage in Auckland. A government job is seen as a way of getting ahead. Well, government jobs, pay perhaps better than private sectors because they can print unlimited amounts of money. I mean, where does the money come for the government to hire people? It comes from the printing press, from doesn't always come from the taxpayers, but you can create jobs for government, or the government can always create jobs by simply creating more money. But that is not the way of the free enterprise system. That's why I've never really liked government jobs. I've always worked for small businesses, believing that that was in the best interest of the country. If I was going to be a school teacher, I wouldn't work in a public school, even though they pay more than private schools. I'd work in a Christian school or a private school, because I think the education is much better. There's a lot of red tape, a lot of tenure in government positions, education, public schools. So you can really be incompetent at what you do and not get fired. I don't think that's a good thing. I think if you're incompetent, you're subject to being fired and let go by your boss, This is Artie McMaster's comments. According to the 2016 Current Population Survey, immigrants and their U.S.-born children now number approximately 84.3 million people, or 27% of the overall U.S. population. Additionally, the U.S. black population is roughly 13 to 14% of the American population. Over 80% of these people vote Democratic, collectivists, for wealth transfer that takes place by force, using the government, other people's lives, equal time equals energy equals work equals productivity equals money equals taxes equals buying power. The U.S. white population, which votes primarily Republican, is only being sustained by aging baby boomers who are fast dying off. Republicans must win Texas in order to have any chance of a presidential victory, but whites in Texas are already a minority at approximately 45% of the population. Non-white births in Texas now account for 65% of births. When the Republicans lose Texas, it will mean that the presidency, the Supreme Court, the Senate will all go Democratic forever, where the best the U.S. can hope for is a Hillary Clinton, a globalist, a socialist, a collectivist. How about just saying a communist? Eastern Europeans who lived under communism say the U.S. Democratic Party is the U.S. Communist Party. Well, I would agree with that. Zionist, socialist / collectivist Bernie Sanders has communist roots. Moreover, 40% plus of U.S. government school brainwashed millennials, mindless, would prefer to live under communism / socialism rather than capitalism. That's very sad. In fact, they don't think that Lenin and Hitler and Stalin were such bad people, even though they were mass murderers. They killed millions of their own people. That says a lot about the millennial generation, doesn't it? Look at the socialist / collectivist / cultural Marxist / multicultural / central planning / leftist fragmented state of California. There, billionaire oligarchs and corporations rule, who buy off politicians with campaign contributions. There is the future of America. Not at all what the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights envisioned. The American dream is dead. The top 20% of U.S. income earners pay 95% of U.S. taxes. By the way, Jerry Brown's 12-cent per gallon tax, gasoline tax, kicked in, what, in the last week or so? How do you like that? Supposedly it's going to go to fix the roads. I wonder what the money has been spent. Taxpayers' money has been spent. These Democrats, never found a spending bill that they didn't like. They're always voting for more taxes for the most part. Anything that hurts the middle class. Of course, Republican Party is not much different. They spend more money on the war machine. The Democrats spend it more on social programs and welfare and things like this, and food stamps. Now, what we need to do is we need to have less regulation so that the small businesses can prosper, so that they can hire more people. And stop giving so many tax breaks to the big corporations. Stop allowing the monopolies to take place. Stop allowing the big corporations to take over the small farmers. I mean, you know, small farmers can't compete. They're going to get bought up. Who's going to own the food someday? Big corporations. Yeah, that's why I say you need to grow some of your own food and don't be so dependent upon the grocery stores for everything. Save your money. Buy only what you really need. You know, most people in America don't have more than $500 to $5,000 saved up in case of an emergency. Stop living on your credit cards. You know, tear those things up or burn them. You should perhaps be paying cash for most things or using debit, but we are moving toward a cashless society where everything's digitized money, basically. Digitized money. I can't even say it. Anyway, money becomes just digits, you know, in your bank account. All right, so let me just give you some headlines here. TPP is again raising its ugly head. Bloomberg article. As Trump goes, so goes Netanyahu. Bloomberg article. Israel and Saudi Arabia coordinate to provoke war. ZeroHedge.com article. Is Korea a smokescreen? Question mark. If U.S. federalism was like Swiss federalism, there would be 1,300 U.S. states, and everyone but the sociopathic and psychopathic power brokers and politicians would be happy. That can be found at Mises.org. An article there. Those who have a lust for power over others are dysfunctional, sociopathic, and psychopathic misfits. Yeah. Those who have a lust for power over other people. People who like to control other people. Famous undercover conspiracy theorist found mysteriously dead before speaking at a conference in Poland. Huh. Well, that doesn't surprise me. You know, people like George Bush, they don't like people to talk about conspiracies. They don't like people to question the official 911 official story or the JFK official story and a lot of other official stories. You see, if the government was really interested in truth, they would allow an independent investigation. But no, they always appoint a government board or government-appointed people to investigate it. And then, of course, it all comes out, you know, in their favor that there was no conspiracy and everything's just exactly the way the government tells you. Propaganda, people. That's what you're being fed by the major fake news media like CNN and MSNBC and even Fox News sometimes. Now you got to get alternative news, okay? Let's see. U.S. Air Force incompetence and negligence led to Texas church massacre. So says New York Times article. All white included, let's see. Texas church massacre shooter checked every aisle, shot babies at point blank range. Leftist / socialist / atheist / collectivist / violent / evil. Stefan Molyneux, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Molyneux. He has a large following on the internet. Man traveled to D.C. to kill all white police. The cultural Marxist invading migrant crisis George Soros initiated in finance has upended Europe. A totalitarian European Union is all but here. The comprehensive crumbling of the West. Found at economicprism.com. Scotland apologizes to homosexual men for historical convictions. Views of the U.S. Democratic Party hit their lowest mark in 25 years. Ron Paul says the U.S. is reaching the point of no return. You can find that at peakprosperity.com, the podcast. Ron Paul, we reaching point of no return. All right, well, and now the U.S. housing bubble, okay? Lumber's lofty gains. U.S. futures touch highest since 2004 amid trade spat. I guess lumber futures pretty high right now. Not sure how to interpret these U.S. National Home Price Index, Case-Shiller Index. Real estate and interest rates move in opposite directions, apparently. Let's see what else we got. Real house prices over the past year increased. Real house prices increased over the past year in most countries. Okay. Excuse me, my eyes are kind of dry. That's why I'm blinking a lot, because I need some saline solution for my contact lens. Global House Price Index. Looks like New Zealand has experienced the largest bubble in housing, followed by Australia, Britain, Canada, and the United States. If I'm reading that correctly. Housing globally, the biggest Ponzi scheme in history. A comprehensive look at the global housing market bubble and the QT central bank threat to end it. You can find that at seekingalpha.com. The global housing bubble is the biggest in these world cities. You can find that at zerohedge.com. U.S. home prices hit all-time high. Home price gains in 20 U.S. cities accelerate in August. U.S. homes never more unaffordable. Well, I guess, and rent's not far behind. Here's an article by Bloomberg. U.S. homes being bought at the fastest pace in 30 years. The fading scent of the American dream. U.S. home prices bubble 2.0. U.S. housing bubble. The U.S. housing bubble is back. Housing affordability, never worse. Well, they say we're in a bond bubble and a stock market bubble too, as well as a housing bubble. And so if all those three pop within a short period of time, we're going to be experiencing financial disaster, I think. Commodities, I don't believe, are in a bubble, although I think they're on the increase. Commodities are the things you really need and use. Oil, natural gas, food like corn, soybeans, oats, you know. Let's see. Homelessness surges in Silicon Valley, where the billionaire Zionist oligarchs live and work. In other words, the hypocritical leftist collectivists. New U.S. tax plan negative for housing. Another article at Bloomberg.com. China is experiencing a housing bubble. In Hong Kong, a 4-bedroom home sold for $149 million. Bloomberg.com article. Other housing bubbles around the world are found in Sweden, Switzerland, China. You can find that at thenewdaily.com. Does Sweden have the biggest housing bubble ever? Article at zerohedge.com. All right. Ultra-low interest rates mark a shift away from people's wealth residing in their savings and pension plans and into so-called wealth residing in their homes.